Every human being is fighting a silent battle, a battle to stay calm in chaos, to remain focused when everything seems to fall apart. Life tests us in ways we never expect, through failure, rejection, loss, and doubt. Yet in those moments, something deeper is revealed, our mindset. For centuries, Stoic philosophers like Marcus Aurelius and Epictetus have taught one timeless truth. We cannot control what happens to us, only how we respond. And in our modern world, one man seems to embody that ancient lesson. A man constantly tested, criticized, and yet unshaken. His name is Elon Musk. Elon's journey isn't just about rockets or electric cars. It's a story about resilience, focus, and inner strength, the same virtues the Stoics spoke of 2,000 years ago. In this video, we'll explore how moments from Elon Musk's life reflect the Stoic mindset, how calmness can exist within pressure, how clarity can guide chaos, and how purpose can silence fear. So take a deep breath and join me on this journey to uncover the Stoic wisdom hidden within the story of Elon Musk. Every human story begins with struggle. Before the world knew his name, before the rockets and electric cars, Elon Musk was just a quiet boy growing up in South Africa. He spent countless hours buried in books, exploring imaginary worlds that felt far kinder than the one around him. At school, he was bullied, often beaten until he could hardly stand. At home, the silence of broken relationships filled the space where comfort should have been. Loneliness became his teacher. Curiosity became his refuge. While other children sought acceptance, Elon sought understanding. He taught himself to code, to think, to build. The pain that surrounded him did not destroy him, it refined him. The Stoics taught that every pain is a teacher. They believed in amor fati, to love one's fate, to embrace every hardship as part of the path. Elon may not have known the word, but he lived its meaning. Instead of fighting his suffering, he absorbed it. Instead of bitterness, he chose focus. Each moment of rejection forged patience. Each act of cruelty taught him endurance. Through struggle, he learned the art of calm under pressure, a calm that would later carry him through failures most people would never dare to face. The Stoics remind us the obstacle is not the end, the obstacle is the way. And perhaps that's what Elon discovered early in life, that even pain can become purpose if you face it with strength and acceptance. His childhood scars became silent armor, his isolation became discipline, and in the quiet corners of his mind, a vision began to form, a belief that he could change the world no matter how hostile it once seemed. That is the seed of Stoicism, to find power not in control over others, but in control over oneself. When the world chased profit, Elon Musk chased purpose. While most people dreamed of comfort, he dreamed of survival, not his own, but humanity's. From the beginning, his goals seemed impossible. Electric cars in a world ruled by oil, reusable rockets in an industry that called failure unacceptable, colonizing Mars when most couldn't even imagine leaving Earth. To many, these were fantasies. To Elon, they were responsibilities. He believed that if humanity is to survive, it must become a multiplanetary species, powered by clean energy, guided by reason, and driven by courage. The Stoics called this state of living eudaimonia, to live according to virtue and purpose. It means aligning every action with your highest values, choosing the meaningful over the comfortable, and acting not for fame or wealth, but for what is right and necessary. Elon's purpose became his compass. When companies failed, he stayed. When investors left, he worked harder. When critics laughed, he listened only to the call of the future. The Stoics taught that clarity of purpose silences chaos. Once you know why you're doing something, the noise of doubt and fear begins to fade. Distractions lose their grip. Opinions lose their power. For Elon, that clarity turned every setback into data and every loss into progress. He wasn't chasing perfection. He was pursuing direction, and that direction came from his values: courage, innovation, persistence, and service to something greater than himself. In the eyes of a Stoic, that is virtue in motion. It is not the pursuit of wealth or praise, but the relentless effort to fulfill one's duty with integrity. Elon's life reminds us that when your purpose is clear, the path may still be hard, but it will never be empty. As the Stoics said, the one who knows his destination does not fear the storm. When you act from conviction instead of comfort, you stop chasing the world and begin to shape it. Failure is a storm that spares no one. For Elon Musk, that storm came with fire, smoke, and silence. 3 rockets, 3 failures, and a dream that seemed to crumble before it could lift off. Each explosion was more than a loss of money. It was a public humiliation, a brutal reminder that even the boldest visions can fall from the sky. SpaceX was on the edge of bankruptcy. Tesla was collapsing under debt. The world called him reckless, foolish, delusional. But in those moments of chaos, Elon did something rare. He stayed calm. He didn't scream, didn't quit, didn't seek someone to blame. He simply observed, analyzed, and tried again. The Stoics would have understood this perfectly. They taught taught one of their most powerful lessons. Control the controllable. You cannot stop the storm, but you can steer your ship. You cannot command success, but you can command your effort, your attitude, your response. When everything around him was falling apart, Elon focused on what remained within his reach: data, design, discipline. He turned failure into feedback. Every crash became a lesson. Every loss became fuel for the next attempt. The difference between reaction and response is the difference between panic and progress. A reaction is driven by fear. A response is guided by reason. And Elon chose reason every single time. The Stoics believed that calmness is not weakness, it is power mastered. Because the one who stays calm thinks clearly, and the one who thinks clearly finds a way. When the fourth rocket finally reached orbit, it wasn't just a triumph of engineering, it was a triumph of endurance. It proved that composure can outlast chaos, and that resilience is not about never falling, it's about standing up every time you do. Elon's story reminds us that control is never about circumstances, it's about self. When you master your mind, no failure can truly defeat you. The Stoics said, the obstacle becomes the way. For Elon, failure became the forge, and perseverance, the fire that kept his vision alive. In a world that never stops watching, every word becomes a weapon. Every mistake becomes a headline. Elon Musk knows this better than most. From the chaos of social media to the endless debates in newsrooms, his life has been dissected, judged, and misunderstood. Every tweet sparks a storm. Every action divides opinion. To some, he is a visionary. To others, a villain. But amid the noise, one thing remains constant: his focus. He keeps moving, keeps building, keeps working. Because deep down, he seems to understand a timeless truth the Stoics lived by. If you seek peace, ignore praise and blame alike. The Stoics taught apatheia, emotional discipline, the ability to remain undisturbed by the opinions of others. They believed that reputation is beyond our control, that what others think or say does not define who we are, and that peace comes not from approval, but from integrity. When the media attacked, Elon didn't retreat. When critics mocked, he didn't crumble. He continued to speak his mind, to stand by his vision, even when it cost him comfort, image, or wealth. Stoicism reminds us that humility isn't silence, it's strength without the need for validation. It's knowing that truth does not need applause and that purpose does not need permission. Elon's journey through controversy shows that the higher you climb, the louder the world becomes. But those who last are not the ones who shout back. They're the ones who stay steady, grounded in their own values. The Stoics said, no man is free who is a slave to opinion. Freedom begins when you stop living for the eyes of others and start living for the peace within yourself. Elon Musk, like every flawed human being, makes mistakes, but his strength lies not in being perfect. It lies in continuing forward, calm amid the chaos, proving that real power is not in controlling others, but in mastering your own emotions. Discipline is the quiet strength behind every great achievement. For Elon Musk, it's not just about working hard, it's about working with purpose. While most people talk about balance, he lives by focus. 80 to 100 hours a week, divided between rockets, electric cars, and the future of energy. To many, that sounds extreme, but for Elon, it's clarity, not chaos. The Stoics called this virtue temperance, the mastery of self. It means control over one's desires, one's habits, and one's time. To live with discipline is to live with freedom, because when you command yourself, the world can no longer command you. Elon's discipline is not driven by obsession, but by alignment. Every minute he spends has direction. Every decision flows from purpose. He eliminates distractions, simplifies routines, and guards his attention like it's his most valuable resource, because it is. The Stoics believed that simplicity is strength. They lived with less, thought with clarity, and acted with intention. And in the same way, Elon shows that focus is not about intensity, it's about priority. He doesn't chase comfort, he chases progress. He doesn't waste energy on what he cannot change. He invests it in what he can build. That's discipline in its purest form, quiet, consistent, and unshakable. In a world of noise, Elon Musk's greatest advantage isn't intelligence or wealth, it's restraint, the ability to choose where his mind goes, to stay centered when the world pulls him in every direction. The Stoics taught that true freedom is self-control, and Elon's life proves it. When you master your time, you master your destiny. Elon Musk is not a Stoic philosopher, but the spirit of Stoicism lives in his work. Through his failures, his persistence, and his vision, he reflects lessons that are thousands of years old, yet more relevant than ever today. The first lesson: accept failure without fear. Failure is not the end, it's information. Every setback, is a mirror showing us where to grow, not where to stop. The Stoics believed that what happens to us is less important than how we respond to it. If you can stand tall after falling, you've already succeeded. The second lesson, focus on what you can control. You can't command outcomes, only effort. You can't silence the world, but you can silence your reaction to it. Peace begins when attention ends, when you stop chasing control over what was never yours. The third lesson, stay calm when criticized. No matter how pure your intent, someone will misunderstand you. The Stoics taught that praise and blame are merely echoes of other people's minds, not reflections of your worth. Don't fight the noise. Outlast it. True strength is staying still when others demand a reaction. And the final lesson, live with purpose. Without purpose, effort scatters. With purpose, everything aligns. Find a mission that matters, something greater than comfort or approval, and let that mission guide your choices. That's where fulfillment begins. Elon's story reminds us that Stoicism isn't just philosophy, it's practice. It's not about suppressing emotion, but mastering it. Not about avoiding pain, but transforming it. Not about controlling the world, but controlling the self. Before you try to change the world, learn to govern your own mind. Because once your thoughts are steady, your actions become unstoppable. And that, as the Stoics would say, is where freedom truly begins.